Well, I collect coins, and you notice how that one's flat and recessed inside? Back in those years, they thought those, and there was almost a panic about handling them, because the recessed little holes in there, they thought they harbored germs.
Nope, I don't want to touch it.
And they thought it was bad for your health, and people would not even use them. So they quit making them after about 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Now they're back to doing it's 9 a.m.
All right, I am going to call our weekly meeting of the Cottington County Commissioners meeting to order. It is Tuesday, March 17th, 2020. It is also St. Patrick's Day, so I guess we're all kind of in the light of everything that's going on. Try to keep things as normal as we can. For any of those who don't have green will be pinched later. So I guess I'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And if I could have Travis and John, would you mind leading us in the pledge today?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is call for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board today on an item that is not on the agenda? We could only take your input, but no decisions could be made. Item number 3, conflict of interest. Is there any items on the agenda that any of the commissioners would have a conflict with?
No.
No.
All right. Item number 4, action to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Waterman, second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. We will have an executive session dealing with personnel, so that's on the agenda, but just noted. Action to approve the minutes of the March 10th, 2020 meeting. Motion by Van Duzen,
I'll second.
second by Gable. Any additions, corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 6, was Luke going to come and do this?
He didn't know if he would be here, so he sent Lee a link.
I got the thing.
Okay.
Maybe you guys can
All
just,
right, Lee, then we'll let you take care of that.
I can project it. I don't know. You guys were on the board. Oh,
It
wrong
is
way.
the Stan and Donna Busco plat, located in Richland Township.
And this particular item was brought before us on the Planning and Zoning Board. Here, Lucas, come on right up. You're just in time.
You did that on purpose.
Here you go.
You brought it up.
A grand entrance.
Sure. What we have is
Turn on your mic, Luke.
There we go. What we have is a plat of Stan and Donna Busco Edition, located in the southeast quarter of Section 20, 11754. That is Richland Township, straight west of Memorial Park, and then just a little bit north there, not quite as far as the Tinkertown Road. This is a simple situation. They are platting off the farm site, and one of the daughters is going to wind up there so that they can have that, and it looks just like that rectangle there. So farm site will be a 5-acre parcel. Existing farmstead exemption was granted back in February, and I just wasn't around. So that's why we're here.
Now, if they have a disaster out there, can they rebuild on that now?
Yes, they can now.
And now move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Van Duzen. Any other discussion?
It did become before the Planning and Zoning Board last month, not this month, but last month, and it was approved by unanimous vote there.
And like Commissioner Waterman had asked, that was a good question. That is exactly the express purpose of doing this. And this is that instance where it's allowed, where it's an old farmstead. So it works.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, good timing.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
That was a quick trip.
That was just about hello, goodbye, beat
I know.
in one sentence.
You know, I had to sit down. All right, I'll get back to the other meeting. See you.
Yep, see you, Luke. We'll move on to item number 7, monthly reports. First is our facilities manager, Steve.
That one's live.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning. Well, we'll start out here. Here on the courthouse and pretty well all facilities of the county, we had drafted some signs yesterday to post at doors and for allowing people if they have symptoms. And these are the 2 signs that are being posted at this current time. And currently a couple more are getting put up too also. Also around here periodically, the doors, handles, rails, anything that would have hand contact are being periodically sanitized, sterilized and so that for the control of coronavirus. Sprinkler systems are being installed currently. They have this floor except for the bathrooms done, and they are up in 3rd, and I don't know how far the progress there is. They'll be going to 2nd floor shortly.
We had to schedule a meeting.
Yeah, we scheduled a meeting this past week with them to get, so correspond for timing and so that of getting things accomplished and scheduled for the court services and so that, so. I think that went pretty well and stuff, so we'll keep I'll keep in contact with them to keep things hopefully in bound and getting progress done. Detention center. Currently, right now, as of last week, I had turned around and requested for maintenance staff to hire for a replacement, which is on the agenda for a gentleman that is retiring. The same procedures are being done over in the courthouse for sanitational purposes and so that for the corona. Also, to bring up, a couple weeks ago, I had help over there. There was door security issues with their systems. So that their system is 30 years old, and they had shut down, everything locked down. So we temporarily fixed it. They came in and kind of made something work right now at the present time, but I believe they'll probably be looking in the future of trying to improve that system in there for the door system.
Where's that at?
Over in the detention center. Brad will probably touch on it sometime in the future. So, extension building. Past events have gone pretty good. Of course, currently right now, most of the events are being rescheduled or canceled at the extension building. They'll have to keep in touch, listen to media, also contact out there to find out if something is going on, if something's been canceled or rescheduled. Where else? Memorial Park. Interviews were conducted this past week and so that, and we will review them here shortly. And the reservations that are being made online, they're currently being, they are continuing online. There are some emails of some people that have been responding, wanting for renting some of the picnic areas and so that, and I need to contact them. Of course, let them know that basically we don't have a manager at this time to basically schedule for them and so that until probably April, but I'll contact them as soon as I can. But also with that, we have some overbooking that happened on Memorial Day weekend on our online service. The program that we have was not relaying to the online services, so it was open sites, which some of these sites were already overbooked or already booked last year. And trying to work out to see if a couple sites that are open to try to let a couple of them have a spot, and I'll start with the top of the list first that was started. So unfortunately there's some that will not have a spot on that weekend. So I guess that's What I have, just a little note side for on the weed and West Nile side. The North Central Mosquito Conference that was to be held in North Dakota has been canceled, and so that the already reimbursed back for the registration fee on that, and so that was registered. So
It's not postponed, it was
it
canceled.
was canceled. Yep, altogether. There's going to be a lot of things that's probably
You have
actually going to
been
get
reimbursed?
canceled. What's that?
You have been reimbursed?
Yes, I have to initiate because everything through the credit card.
Okay, you
so,
haven't
yep, I have it.
received- Okay,
Yep.
okay.
All right.
All right, thank you, Steve.
So are these same people, so at the extension center?
The extension center, over at the vets, over at the nurse's office, pretty well all the county facilities that we have. Currently, right now, not at the park because nobody is out at the park at this present time, so.
How about the dog policy? We got signs up yet?
What's that?
The dog,
Yes,
the pet?
there-
Yes, the dog policy signs are out at the.
Yeah, they're
yep,
already up.
Yep, they're already up.
They were at the farm show already.
Yep.
Steve, can you just go back over what the staff here in the courthouse is doing to
They are going through sanitizing the door handles, the railings, the countertops periodically, plus also in each office, they have actually have a bottle that periodically to wipe down counters and stuff also, just so that we can at least alleviate as much as possible.
What about getting, I know, like hand sanitizer and stuff like that? I know it's in short supply at
Hand
the moment.
sanitizer is very, very short supply. Currently, right now, we just have enough for staff here. It's
enough
very,
for
very
staff.
limited. And it's probably,
We don't have enough for staff, really.
no, not, we'll have to correlate a little bit with Matt. I had picked up some at the surplus on Friday, some small hand bottle stuff, so we'll kind of
Yeah, okay.
gently, yeah.
is staff, our department heads wiping down their areas in their offices and?
Yeah.
Yep, social distancing is another.
Yeah, and social distancing is another, and so we have 4 feet back from the counter. I know I need to get a hold of those guys. We need to get some tapes on the floors and so people stay back from counters. Yeah, this is kind of crazy.
It's a
but-
whole new world.
Yes, it is.
It's a whole new world that we're living in, but
I just
we have to
came
do
from the
it.
treasurer's office, and they had their tape measures out, and they were measuring where to put the
Yeah.
tape, so.
Yeah, that's good.
I also heard this morning that a lot of the distillers, the brewers
Okay.
nationwide now have converted their processes to hand sanitizing.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true.
And so maybe hand sanitizing will be available here very
Yeah,
soon. We hope.
I mean, I'm certain as soon as the supply can get generated, it'll start getting stocked back up again and stuff, so.
I suppose we could buy a fifth of whiskey and sit on the counter and you can wash your hands with.
Toilet
You know, there's lots of stuff going on Facebook. I've seen people that have a bottle of whiskey called Virus and
Yeah.
drink that, you know, and there's crazy things going on, of course.
Yeah.
I would also add to that, just for the general public, if you're able to do your business via telephone,
Yeah.
online, try to do it in those measures, mail, if at all
Correct.
possible.
Try to do as much. There is opportunities to pay things like at the treasurer's office online. Contact them. There's means to get things done as much as possible. Keep in contact, especially, if you have a cold or cough or any of the symptoms, advise is not to call if there's some kind of a related deal. Please call.
All right.
Yep, if you're feeling ill, please do not come and do business. There's other methods, and we will work
Thanks,
with
Steve.
you.
Thank you.
You need to have them stay here for 8.
Okay. This is serious, but this is not a jump out of the building panic situation.
We do not even have a case in Cottington County as of the last that I had heard anyways,
There is
late
no
yesterday,
confirmed
so.
cases in Cottington. Minnehaha has the most of 4. There's 10 confirmed cases statewide right now, as of 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to your grade school hygiene classes and wash your hands and don't cough on people.
All right,
You
Steve,
want me to
yeah,
go?
we'll do 8 and 9.
Okay.
So Item number 8, action to accept the resignation of the maintenance employee Jeff Hirschman.
Yes, Jeff is close to 60-some years old. I know he's had a little bit of some heart issues in the past and so that, and has decided to take an early retirement and stuff. And I have a request for the acceptance.
Letters in
Yep.
here, yep. So we
I
would,
appreciate his letter.
His letter's short
Very
and
short
brief,
and to
but
the
that's...
point. One line.
so we would need a motion and a second to approve that. Motion by
second.
Gable, second by Johnson. Any discussion?
I've known Jeff for a long time, working in that building for a lot of years. And
Yeah.
Jeff was always
20,
around when
I
you
don't
needed
know,
him.
remember 20, I couldn't tell you exactly, I think it's about like 20 years or so.
And I just want to
So-
tell Jeff, thanks for his service and
Yep.
dedication to the county and keeping our buildings clean
And
and
I would
safe.
echo that. Thank you for all the years of service that he's had, and we wish him a very happy retirement.
And I would also say that we appreciate all that he has done and his dedication to helping try to keep our facility in the utmost respectful ways. So
I'll
appreciate
respond that to him, so that, so.
All right.
Thank you.
Any
Thank
others?
you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 9, action to approve the hiring of an assistant weed supervisor.
Being that I've kind of taken this position, I'm requesting to have a assistant weed supervisor. I'm still going to handle the weed supervisor position itself, so I'm requesting to hire a assistant.
I'll make that motion.
Johnson, second by Waterman. Any other discussion?
Just any budgetary concerns?
Currently, there should be no budgetary concerns on that, and so that, because my position more or less went to this position, so that opens up for, you know, of my wages that was in that
Yeah,
department
since we
area, so.
Combined, that
Yep.
was a savings
Yep.
to the taxpayers. So yes, we should be fine.
Are you okay with the procedure? Are you going to advertise
I,
house or out?
I'm not exactly for certain right now, and so that, how I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna wait right now and look over things. I'm gonna talk with Terry.
We want to
on
do
this.
everything legal, so
Yes,
contact
we want
Terry.
to, yep.
Yeah.
So I'll contact Terry and so that on this.
All right.
So,
All right.
all right.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Now we'll move back up to monthly report, the highway soup. With Rick. Good morning, Rick.
All right, Rick.
Morning, Rick.
We had a little bit of rain Monday night, or Sunday night into Monday morning. We had to go out and do a little sanding. There was a few places that were pretty slippery. Some places didn't get quite as much, so it wasn't a real big issue, but we had to do a little sanding. Excuse me. The guys are out crack sealing, trying to get as much done as they can before the cracks close back up. Most of our guys were able to go to the M-Shaw meeting that we had here in Watertown. We had one guy that was ill during that, so we had to send him to Madison, so everybody's caught back up on that. Myself and Beth Niemeyer from Banner Engineering, or Banner and Associates, met with Johnny Manning from Yuletag, and we went and looked at approaches for Crown Ridge 2 for the wind towers last Wednesday. Myself, Jamie, and Sherry all attended flood meeting on the 12th at the fire department. The total bid price for the bridge that is going in on County Road 4 came in at $900,000, 449.75.
Say that again?
926.
$926,449.75.
Okay.
And what was the original estimate?
It was $137,000 less than that.
Okay.
That's what it came in over what they had what the state had estimated.
So that
That was
includes,
the state's estimate.
Yes, that was the state's estimate.
so that includes engineering and construction, or that's just construction?
That should be everything.
That's everything.
Because the state's the one that
Right.
did the bid and all that, so.
Can we use the extra money that state allocated for a different bridge here in Cottington County?
They'll use it all there. There won't be any
They'll all
extra
go to
money.
that.
Have you followed that the state did, legislature did allocate funding for roads and bridges in counties? They found some money for
They
that?
did, the last I knew, it was still in the process. They,
It made it past appropriations and it passed.
They
So
did,
there will
okay,
be-
I
There will be
was not
funds
aware of
there.
They're still, they're gonna divvy that out
Yeah.
according to population.
According-
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see what our share is.
Some a little bit, anyway.
Yep.
So,
Might help with that culvert we talked about, huh?
That's possible. We only had 2 places that the water ran over the road with the warm temperatures we had a week ago. And one of those was from the wind towers blocked the culvert. And the water run over the road on County Road 7, and they came and fixed that, so the water went down. Load limits went on last Monday. So those are in effect now until somewhere in May. Hopefully we'll be able to take those off, but all depends on the weather. And we put up our signs that Steve was talking about for people entering our office and shop. All of our outside shops will have a sign on the door that, not that we get a lot of traffic, foot traffic, but just to warn people about staying away. So that's all I have right now, so.
All right, we can go on to the next one.
Thank you, Rick.
Item number 11, we might as well do that. Action to authorize the chair to sign a joint powers force account agreement with SDDOT for eligible costs associated with approved emergency relief projects.
This was on County Road 23-5 south of Tinkertown. The water came up. It's a blacktop road. The water came up and was by the white line on both sides. We built it up roughly 2 feet out of the water, and that's all we were able to do. There was no time to rip-wrap it or anything, because that was one of the last projects we were able to get done last fall. So it'll still need more material on top of the road, and next week I'll have something from Clark Engineering to have them help me figure out how much riprap we're going to need for that project and some other projects.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Gable, second. Second by Waterman. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Are you going to stick around for the 10 o'clock if XL Energy reps come
Okay.
to talk to us? Might be good, if you're able to.
All right.
Just a thought.
One other thing, I got a phone call from Rural Water this morning that their offices are closed to the public. All their stuff has to be done online or phone calls, so.
I received the same call, so yeah, everybody's, it's just kind of the times that we're in right now, I guess, just to be safe.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, so that brings us to item number 10, action to authorize advertising of the Veteran Service Officer position. Lee, I don't know if you kind of want to do a little explanation of where we're at with if we would decide to.
I think as far as the job description, I think it would stay the same. I mean, we're talking about, some of the discussion is just how do we get all the human service kind of stuff working together, be it welfare or veteran services, but I don't think it's going to affect the job description. So.
No.
I had a chance also to visit with Al extensively and ask if there's anything that we need to know since he's been there. And number one, when the request goes out for applications, it must be a veteran.
Yep.
It has to be a veteran, which I assumed anyway.
Yeah.
And I think some of the things that we as a commission need to know and the general public need to know is that there's over 2,000 veterans in Cottington County that are actually registered at that office, at our Cottington County office. Now, Al says, I'm sure there's more than that in Cottington County, but there are over, I think, it's just not too many over 2,000, but there's a lot of vets in Cottington County. Also, he reminded me that these veterans bring in some way, shape, or fashion, I think it was over $13 million in revenue into Cottington County. And that would be me as a vet, if I get some services from the Veteran Service Office, that those dollars come to me, but they're coming back to Cottington County because I'm a resident here. So the office is a very, very important office, and one that we want to make certain that we fill with the right personnel, and that it should be a full-time Veteran Service Officer in that position.
Yep.
So that's my 2 cents worth in that part of it. So I think we need to get that advertisement out, and let's get that job filled so we can continue on with a very viable Veteran Service Office in Cottington County.
Make that motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Did you gentlemen, were you here for that purpose? Was there anything that you wanted to add to this?
The only thing for...
If you'd like to come up and just state your name, please, and then...
But here, talk right into the mic. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I've done this once or twice out here. Good morning, my name is Travis Flister. I'm the South Dakota American Legion State Adjutant or Chief Operating Officer. Add-ins to this is I would make sure that you verify DD-214s to make sure there's honorable discharge. Very vital, and that's part of the codified law is make sure that's done. But other than that, I can't emphasize how important the job is to veterans. For the outreach, the Legion Post and the VFWs, they all try to do outreach, but having that dedicated person that goes in and helps those veterans inside the nursing homes, assisted livings, and is also avenue for those veterans that are getting out and coming back to South Dakota. I am one of those people that came back to South Dakota, and I bring my retirement check and my disability back. So yes, that money, that revenue coming back to Watertown's definitely there. But yeah, find the right person. If there's any assistance the commission needs, I can reach out to my contacts across South Dakota and see what's out there. So
Thank you. Appreciate that.
any other questions, Commission? All right, thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? I don't know, Lee, how does that look on the makeup? I mean, as far as like for the purpose of being effective or efficient to combine a couple of offices as far as...
Yeah, I think it might, there might be some efficiencies, but I think, yeah.
I'm not in favor of that at all.
Yeah, we still need to think about
I
it.
think that this is a standalone job. I think there's sufficient work to be done by an individual, and I think that we need to have it as an individual job, as a standalone job.
Yeah, I'm not saying, I would agree that it needs to be a separate position. I think we're just talking about maybe something for the future, like maybe co-locating offices that deal with just helping people. So anyway, but and we kind of have that right now. We have, the Veterans Office and the Welfare Officer, at least in the city auditorium right now, so.
And that could depend on who we hire, too.
Yeah.
And it was never going to be that it wouldn't be a full-time position. It's just that Brookings County is doing that very thing, and they have 2 full-time people that are able to keep up and with the secretary. So it wasn't that it wasn't going to be a veteran. It wasn't that it was going to not be full-time. So
Travis,
If we were going to do anything, I would really like to see it more accessible without steps.
Yeah, that's
A one-level accessibility.
question.
that'd be nice.
go ahead.
Mr. Travis, do you know of individuals throughout the state that would be interested in applying for this position? Yeah, come on up, that's fine. I'm just curious in terms of what our pool is going to look like when we...
Actually, with 18,000 members in South Dakota, American Legion, I can definitely put out a notice of some sort saying that, no, there's a position available if anybody's of interest, so.
I mean...
There's quite a bit of interest. I've had people contact me already.
Our HR will get a job description and
Yeah.
an ad ready, and then we can share that with you, and then you can pass that on
Okay.
as well, so.
That's
it would
what I
be
was
something
curious
that we'll
about.
go
I mean, obviously, we want to promote locally here if we can, but I'm just curious what the pool is going to look like, so.
There's a lot of military retirees, a lot of people that have a lot of experience taking care of their soldiers, sailors and airmen, so.
Finding the right person for that position.
Right.
Is key. Yep.
They got to be approachable, and that's the key thing when you hire someone. They got to be approachable. They got to be able to trust. I can't tell you, I got a service officer for the Legion who works out of Madison. She dual hats for the Lake County service officer, but she handles people across the state, believe it or not, that will call her up and say, you know, I'm not getting satisfaction in my area. I don't find this person approachable, and so in all CVSOs, I would say probably 95% of them across the state of South Dakota have a American Legion power attorney. For those that don't know what power attorney means, is if a veteran files a case with the CVSO and it goes to the VA and the VA denies that claim, they will file an appeal, and that appeal will go to the regional office, which will be Sioux Falls. And it goes to that regional office, and that's where the South Dakota Department of Veterans Affairs will come in and advocate for that veteran. But if it gets appealed above that level and goes to the national office out in D.C. And goes from the big board with the VA, then whoever that power attorney is, that organization will provide that attorney to that veteran free of charge. So with the American Legion and the VFW being the two largest organizations, we're at 1.9 million people, and the VFW is just a little bit smaller. We both have a full staff of people that actually go in and advocate for veterans. So getting that accreditation is kind of a key point.
Sure. Well, when that position opens up, we'll definitely get you the position so you can share it amongst those folks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item number 12, action to issue a request for proposals for jail inmate food services.
You guys got the latest copy of the thing? Just as a point of reference, so this is in the packet, but there's a fresh one that was laid on your desk, and the one that has April 17th at the very bottom, at the last line, that's the freshest one, so, but, yeah. Not that there's they're pretty close. I think other than the dates, there's one sentence we added in the insurance section. Other than that, it's the same as what we drafted.
I guess what we're looking to do is just put out an RFP for meal vendors to come in and provide meals for inmates. We plan on keeping our cook on staff as well, and this would help supplement that right now. So actually a perfect example as we speak, our cook has been out for 5 days with the flu, so this would help with that. We have spoke to some of these vendors here, and it does look like we'd still be able to have some of these come in if their RFP comes in right. They gave us some rough numbers, and they do look pleasing, like we'd be able to save some pretty good funds on the meal budgets for the county. So
I think this isn't anything that's new. There's other counties that do this as well.
So, yeah, I'd make the motion to issue this RFP. That's my motion? Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Johnson. Commissioner Waterman, you had something?
Yes, I just had a question from in the past, a historical question. Has this been tried before? Have we used a food service place in our facility before? And if so, why didn't it continue, and why are we not? I mean, why did we stop it?
in my years in Cottington County, we have not. Before then, I do not know if they have or have not before that.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We did not have a cook until, I suppose it was sometime in Keith Olson's term of office. I think what they did was they ordered food like TV dinners. Frozen dinners.
Yep.
Frozen dinners, I believe, is what we were at. And then Keith is the one who made the decision to hire a cook and buy our own supplies and do our own cooking. I think it's been that way ever since.
And
So it
maybe
goes
we-
back a ways.
What you're referring to is about 5 years ago or so, our cook had a medical thing where she was gone for a few months. We did get meals from a local place. It was really expensive.
I was thinking back after, I've been here a long time in town now, and so I'm getting a sense of history and talking about different things. And there was mentioned to me that in the past, they had some food service deal.
I've been
but
here-
it might
I've
have
been
been
here
like
over
TV
40
dinners
years
or
and we've
something
never-
like that.
I've been here over 40 years and we've never had a food
I
service.
think it was about 41 years ago. There was a food service that we had.
I've been here 43 almost.
They,
3 years ago, that was.
About 10 years ago, I know when Brenda and I first came aboard, we were guests at a meeting at one particular time where it was looked at very seriously about bringing in a outside firm to supply the meals, but I'm not really sure. I think we received some pushback from the jail, the people that were preparing the meals at that time, and that was the question I had for Lee right away, is what happens to our current cook?
Our current cook is going to stay on staff until she retires. The benefit of that is if this doesn't work out, or if we don't get any RFPs, we can continue business as usual. She'll be able to give some insight to the company coming in and work directly with them. So she would still stay on staff until she was retired. And at that time, that'd be something that we could discuss with, or open up negotiations with these if they wanted to take that person on. And
Yeah, it's in the RFP, so Madam Chair, if I may. So on page 4 of the RFP, it talks about, under the staffing, it says the contractor shall employ the current jail food service employee until the employee's retirement. So, and there's a couple other sentences about that, but, so just that's part of a smooth transition, and also just trying to take care of the people that are on our staff currently. And so,
You're still going to need an individual
yeah,
in that
so.
capacity, so.
It says here, excuse me, Lee, it said here, we're going to keep the equipment, we're going to own the equipment, and the purveyor is going to use the equipment. Okay, if we go to a purveyor and that equipment breaks down, who's maintenance problem?
yeah, so if you read that whole section, so that's a good question. So the stuff, basically the equipment that's already in the kitchen now, so we spent a lot of time talking about this, yeah.
Missed that.
Yeah, so the stuff that's basically there now, we continue to own it, but the regular, kind of routine cleaning and the everyday kind of maintenance, the contractor would do that. Now, if there's a major repair, we need to replace a refrigerator or repair it or something, then they tell us and we'll get somebody in there and fix it. That's basically the way it works.
I have a question on number 4, staffing. Contractor shall employ the current jail food service employee until employee's retirement. How long are we looking for that employee's retirement? I mean, that doesn't give us much of an out if there is an issue that we need to.
honestly don't know. I haven't asked, and I'm not forcing anybody to retire or anything like
No,
that.
I'm just saying that doesn't, if there's a performance issue or something like that, that line right there could cause us an issue.
Yeah, that's another, I think we're kind of seeing, performance and discipline as a separate thing.
That would be under personnel policy.
Yeah, so, but the way, so basically what this is doing is asking the contractor to consider that person as one of their FTEs when they make their initial
To
plan.
follow that, the food service vendor coming in, our cook would have to follow make sure she's following
Okay,
the
I
state
see.
guidelines,
Okay.
and they're working with
All
that
right.
food vendor.
And I'm sure we'll get some questions from some potential vendors that might, then we'll clarify. Typically, the process is we issue the RFP, we have a meeting or a tour of the facility, and then we'll get a bunch of questions from potential vendors, and then we'll issue an addenda to the RFP to answer those questions. And Madam Chair, one other note on this. So I think we might want to play with the dates just a little bit between us. I think I made the best. Everything else has been looked at by our insurance folks and the state's attorney. So that part of it's good, but we do, if we want to scooch the dates here and there to get a good set of proposals, we can do that. So.
Do we have one more question? On the next page, it says the inmates and helping to serve. Do we have any problem with getting people to help serve or work in our kitchen now?
There are times where we do have issues with getting reliable, trustworthy people to work in our jail. We do our best to use the staffing and the labor that we have, but it does, like I say, it's kind of like a roller coaster. Our numbers are down a little bit now, then they're higher. So there are times that it's tough to do that. If somebody's out on work release, they can't be in there during the morning and at lunchtime working.
If we can't supply them, then what happens?
That's something, the discussions that will, work with them on that.
A gray area.
Well, I think the advantage of using a company that's similar to our the medical thing we did, almost a year ago now, to get medical services in the jails. You're dealing with national level companies that are used to dealing with this kind of a facility, and so you can increase some efficiencies. So they're used to the ebb and flow of inmate labor when you're doing this, and then they're also able to order things in greater bulk. I think that's kind of how they save their money.
That's what they explained to us. That's how they save their.
Yeah. So.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. See how that all turns out.
So I'll be working with the auditor as far as, I think, do we need to put this, since it's a service RFP, do we need to put this in the paper in a shortened, maybe a shortened version to refer people to the
Thank you.
It's up to you. It's
Okay.
whatever you want to do. Do you have people that you have in mind to send this to? Or how are you going to attract attention?
We can easily, well, I was picturing a short thing in the paper like we've done before, and then email it to anybody that's interested and posting it on the website.
It's all transparency. Just
You think you're going to get a lot of applicants from here?
From local, I don't think so.
Well, if we don't really need to list in the paper, we'll just put it on the website and send a link to people, because I know a lot of folks they have people that constantly look for this stuff anyway, so.
I'm just worried about how you're going to get the word out that we're looking for somebody.
Typically,
we've spoke with probably 5 different vendors over the last year. So
Okay.
there's a lot of vendors that know that we are looking to.
Then I would suggest you also advertise a short RFP just to cover us.
Yeah, I would say
In
local.
the paper, in the local paper, yep.
For legality reasons, we had to publicize it and post 2 of the both county newspapers.
Since it's a service.
Since they are designated as, probably should.
We'll check if we do with that.
Yeah,
Have we done that before?
Something we'll have to check into, right?
yeah, well, technically, we have 2 legal newspapers, so. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, item number 13, action to authorize funding for a county display at the annual Watertown Optimist Club Winter Wonderland.
Madam Chair, I invited someone from the Optimist Club to attend during this particular discussion, and John Taylor is here to represent the Optimist Club. If John would come up and field some of the questions. I did receive a couple of questions about this in the past week, and the answers need to come from the horse's mouth, and here's the horse. Here's the horse. Introduce yourself, John, so the press will know who you are, and talk right into the microphone, okay?
John Tangren, representing the Optimist Club. I was asked to bring up just a listing of things that we have sponsored in this past year with monies that we received from this project. And it's varied, probably over $25,000 worth of projects and youth groups we sponsored this past year. One of the nice things that we have decided to work on is sponsored displays, and I was encouraged by the fact that you folks were interested in hearing more about what that would entail. Building a display is expensive. I brought just a couple of quick examples for you to look at. This little Peace on Earth one, if we were to buy that, it's 18 foot long or wide, $14,000. So we build a lot ourselves. This one that goes over a road, this nice one here, $39,000 if we were to buy it. So obviously we can't afford to find sponsors for that kind of money, so we build them, try to keep the cost as low as we possibly can. A couple things that we had in mind, one was
And I've got, they all have pictures of these.
yeah, Peace on Earth, and the other one was the bell. We've also found out that having them animated and flash, move, or whatever is a greater attraction than just having it static and being lit all the time. Because of the expense of having an added controller, the cost of having one of those two designs that you have there would be $1,000 a year. It would be a 3-year agreement, and the reason for a 3-year agreement is all of our displays end at the same year. So we're halfway through the 5-year agreement period, so a 3-year period is what we have left over. Questions?
Madam Chair, just so if we, so the cost would be going towards just the structure, so, and then where do these donations come from? Are these just the?
That is, comes from the donations, the free will donations from people that come through the park, and also our people that have sponsored a display.
I guess I might chime in. I appreciate the fact of, what you folks do and the donations that it comes back to the community to nonprofit organizations. I guess I just have a hard time as a government entity spending taxpayer dollars for things that are not needs, more so wants. I mean, I would have a hard time explaining that to my constituents that we've spent $3,000 on a display. I think if it's something that we want to do and we want to do it individually and donate that money, but I guess for that very simple reason, I would have a hard time supporting using taxpayer dollars for something like this.
Well, I can't speak for everybody here, but I usually go through once or twice a season. And I enjoy it very much. I think it's a nice little break. However, I'm having some hesitancy about it because we are supporting several of the people out there, 4-H, Boys and Girls Club, I think has one out there, I'm trying to remember now, organizations that we donate to already and help them with their projects, and they're all nonprofits, and they're out there, they're directly out there.
Right. There are 5 that are listed that we already support as a nonprofit.
Which 5 are those?
Millette House Memorial Association, Cottington County Museum, Cottington County 4-H, Lake Area Zoological, and the Boys and Girls Club.
Those all would be drawing attention to their individualness, not rather than a government entity in general.
I guess I feel the same way. I think it's a hard sell. Right now, the time is not right for this. We have a lot of unknowns facing the county right now, and we have a lot of issues potentially that we're going into, and I would have a hard time using taxpayer dollars to fund this. I would support it individually if we decided that we wanted to do that, but I have a hard time with that.
So I can, just if I could chime in, I guess I agree with those sentiments about, paying for a physical structure and a display. Yeah, a little bit uncomfortable with that. I do appreciate the fact that John came in. I didn't realize all the stuff that the Optimist Club does with the donations that they get. That's very helpful. Yeah, that's very helpful to know. And so,
this is for money that you raised at the park?
Correct.
Yeah. Not from other outside sources. This is just park money that you've raised.
That's correct.
yeah. So, I'd encourage, individual donations, obviously, because, that's good stuff. I think in the case of the county, we do kind of have to be a bit more specific and target our funds a little bit more. And so that's why, you were able to mention 5 of those organizations that are on this list. So, thank you for offering that, though.
Now I'll throw my 2 cents in, and of course I am very supportive of it. I think I go through light display a couple of times every year that it's up, and if any of you have gone through it, you'll note that the city of Watertown, they have a display out there they sponsor. There's other government entities that do contract or do have support for some display or something like that. One of the comments that was made here just last week and then kind of fell right into this is, what is it next month, County Government Week or something like that?
County Government Month.
And what advertising, advertising, if you've ever taken a class in advertising, and I'm looking over here at the public opinion people, and I'm saying advertising doesn't cost, it pays, right? And that's what I was taught, and we need to promote ourselves, and we need to do this in some way, shape, or fashion, and it could be that if you take out an ad in the public opinion or some other source, radio or whatever, doesn't matter, I'll guarantee you $1,000 wouldn't go very far. It wouldn't be very, very, one ad, and that probably would eat that up. So that being said, I think that this was an opportunity that we could support ourselves, advertise for ourselves, and just let the general public know that we're here and that we're viable and that we're very supportive of activities that are going on in our county and our community. So that's where I'm at on that thing. Anybody have any
other comments? Otherwise, I guess, are we ready to vote? So when we make the motions, it is in the affirmative. If you support that or not, that's where you decide in your vote. So
I'll make a motion to support it.
I can second for the sake of discussion and voting on it. So.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I want to just make a point here real quick that I'm not opposed to this, Myron. I just don't feel that using taxpayer money to fund it is the right way to do it, okay? I mean, like I said, if we wanted to do this individually, I would be more than happy to support it, okay? I appreciate the Optimist Club, John. I appreciate what they do. It's very apparent that you folks are making a big difference in our community. I just don't think that taxpayer dollars is the right way to go.
Yeah.
That's where I stand on it. That's it. That's
No,
my issue.
That's exactly, I mean, it's just all about, we need to be careful when
The
we're
time is
spending
not
these
right
dollars. You know,
right
we have
now.
roads and other things, but yeah, supporting it individually, and if there's individuals in our county that would want to go towards a GoFundMe page, I mean, who knows where that may go, but on a personal note, but as far as taxpayer dollars.
With everything, and I just want to echo Troy's thoughts, and in the last couple of weeks, we don't know what's ahead of us. And
it's going to be a hard road.
It's not going to go away overnight, and we don't know what it is going to be on our revenue. And we only can spend what we got to spend, and it might be time to tuck in our belts just a little bit.
Yep.
All right, so are we ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right, that motion
Thank you, John.
fails.
Thank you for your
Thank you
consideration.
for coming.
You bet.
Well, we will skip number 14. That is something that's set up specifically for 10 a.m. We'll go on to item number 15, action to approve claims for payment.
Nothing for 15 or 16.
All right, personnel changes, item number 17.
I have two of those. We have a temporary building maintenance employee that will be step 3, $16.45 per hour. That's Eugene Bainan, who's filling in during the excused absence of another full-time employee. And then Milo Ford as a facility advisor at $30 per hour.
All right. We have a motion to
I'll
approve.
make a motion to.
Motion by Gable. I have a second to that motion.
Second.
Second by Waterman. Any discussion?
Yeah, I did. Any idea, Cindy, has any hours been turned in for Milo as far as
Not yet.
hours we've used so far? Okay.
Nope, not yet.
Thank you.
His form hasn't been signed. I know that became an issue one time before. but-
I have the original sign.
Okay, okay.
Yep, he came in last week.
Yeah, I know Steve has been asking him questions, particularly about the campground.
Yes,
so-
there's been a lot of work
Yeah.
together on the software for the campground and
Yes.
looking at,
Part of our problem with the campground and the software, according to what Steve and I were talking about, and I'll probably discuss this with you too, Lee, is the fact that it was offline, it was shut down, the computer was shut down, and when it restarted, it showed it was on all new.
oh, okay.
And we're working with a couple different companies, ideas, thoughts of getting that
Something different.
up on, and putting it up in the cloud so it would be always there.
So we have a motion and a second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Travel requests?
None today.
Just a note on the travel. The Data-Driven Justice Conference we're going to go to in April, Christy Gass and I she's the jail records manager. It looks like that's been canceled. They canceled our hotel reservations, but NACO hasn't given us an official cancellation yet. So it's another thing where we have to kind of seek a refund from the airlines on our own to do that. So just FYI on travel.
All right. Item number 19, public notices. Our Sioux Valley Commissioner meeting has been postponed. We're still trying to figure out a date for sure, but it will be in May sometime. So we'll get working on that. Any other public notices that should be added to the list?
You better not be, because we're not going to be gathering.
That's true. All right. Item number 20, old business. Anyone have anything for the old business? Any new business? Well, I don't know. This is kind of new business. It didn't get to me until after. I just kind of need an okie dokie from you folks. What is going on with the transit? It has combined with Sisseton and several other, and so it's Watertown, Sisseton Community Transit. Let me get the exact. What they are doing now is they want to apply for a grant. So they were looking for us, since we do support them, for a letter of support. And I do have that. If you want me to read it, it's just if you guys would allow me to sign their letter of support so that they can apply for the grant for funding. And what they want to do is construct a new facility because they have outgrown where they're at. So there's no guarantees that they're going to get the grant. It's just, this is part of the formalities that they need letters of support from individuals that.
They're not asking us for money at this point?
No, it's not from us. It's a grant from the federal government, so it's not anything that would impact our.
And is there an urgency that they need? Is there a due date? A lot of times these things get due
Yeah,
dates.
it's like the 18th, I got to get it to them, so.
Okay.
It just kind of came up and it was,
It's okay with me, but it's...
does anybody have any heartburn about me sending a letter of support to the transit?
As long as we don't have any future monies involved,
No, it's just for
at
them.
present or in the future of any kind, or be asked to pay for employees and...
I don't have any issue.
Nope. All right, so I will get that to them so they can apply for their grant. What time is it? Is it 10 o'clock?
I have one new business item.
Okay, go ahead.
Just with all the COVID virus stuff, I just want to point out if people have questions, the 211 has a great page that summarizes everything, and that's linked to the county webpage. So this is if you just go to coddington.org, and if people want to stay up to date, they can click on that, and that takes them to the 211 page, and all the links to both the federal and the state coronavirus pages are there if you want to reference them. And then the one thing the court asked us to put out, that if you have a court date, there's some special considerations. You see some posters around the courthouse, but that's linked down there. Can't doesn't look too good on the screen there, but basically a lot of this obvious stuff. If people have a court date, the main thing is to call their attorneys to reschedule. So it might look better on your computer than it does on mine, so anyway.
That's how it came up on my phone, too.
Yeah, so anyway.
Just started.
That's kind of FYI for people.
And that's all through the state, so yeah, contact,
Yeah,
make your connections with them.
yeah.
We have time maybe to go through the open, or got a couple minutes, get that cleared up. Today is Big Wheels Deliver Meals. I'm part of that through 60 Plus Dining. And if we get done with our meeting in time, I'll be going to do that. Anybody else have anything for the open?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, I think our gentleman is here with Xcel Energy to discuss discussion regarding wind farms. So if you'd like to come forward and fill us in.
Thank you. My name is Tim Carlsgard. I work for Xcel Energy.
Have you come on to the mic here,
Talk
Tim?
right into the mic here.
You're doing your live stream, so.
I'm going to bring these up.
Can I just, while he's doing that, Madam Chair, just one thing to highlight, since we're trying to minimize crowds as part of the, to deal with the coronavirus, we are doing our best to live stream our meetings, so, we don't want to discourage people from watching us in person, but to make it easier for them to avoid crowds, then that's one of the reasons we live stream, so that is there.
So you want me to sit down?
Yep. No, you can sit down.
Okay. I was in Grant County this morning, and I was telling the Grant County commissioners that I had it all planned out, to do that one and then drive over here. And I've been doing these for Xcel Energy, out talking about power lines and wind farms for the last almost 14 years. And it was the first time I've been to a commissioners meeting where there was actually some fireworks. It was like this really lively debate about drain tile and whatnot with several landowners, and so I didn't think I was going to make it on time, but anyways.
Can I have you just lean up to the mic? I'm sorry, otherwise our video feed won't pick it up.
You want to grab your
Yeah.
lever on the side of the chair and give yourself a boost.
We have a handheld, just a minute, will you?
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
I have to put the batteries in it.
You can go ahead and begin.
If it still works.
Okay, so name is Tim Carlsgard with Xcel Energy, XCEL.
Okay, that's working.
So, thank you first for, letting me come out here and have an opportunity to just give you a quick briefing on the Dakota Range wind farm that Xcel has taken ownership of.
Can you use this, or
Yeah, I will, if you don't mind.
back here, or?
Just right there in that corner.
It's not going to be visible from the screen anyway, so.
Yeah, where's your,
Okay.
you want me to?
No, that's fine,
Okay,
that's fine.
all right. So, I thought I'd give you the big picture. About 8 years ago, I was telling the Grant County Commissioners, I was out there and talked to them about building this transmission line, which goes from Big Stone City to Brookings County Substation, which is northeast of the city of Brookings. It's 70 miles. That was built and completed in 2017. At the same time, this transmission line from Big Stone City to Ellendale was also approved, and that is completed. You can build all the wind farms and solar facilities you want, but if you don't have transmission, it's not going to do any good to get the energy to where it needs to go. So when I came out here back 8 years ago, I talked about the fact that all these wind developers and now solar developers were looking to build facilities, but they did not have transmission. So the transmission is done, so now, as you know, you're starting to hear from the wind and the solar folks about building facilities and trying to interconnect into those transmission lines. This particular wind farm is interconnecting into this transmission line here, the one that runs between Ellendale and Big Stone City. eventually, it's just like a superhighway. It makes it to wherever the energy is needed in the Midwest, upper Midwest. About a month ago in February, some of the landowners in your county received a mailing piece, a direct mail piece from us, Xcel Energy, about the Dakota Range Wind Project. I wanted to come out today and just update you, so in case you're hearing from any of your constituents, maybe even some of you own parcels that are part of this wind farm, just to give you an update when you start seeing trucks and equipment starting to move in the next 6 months. So as far as Cottington County, any of these green parcels are part of the wind farm. The red dots are turbine sites. So there's about 20 turbines, wind turbines, in Cottington County. But all of these parcels, Apex, which was the wind developer, they put this together. We, Xcel Energy, purchased the wind farm from Apex. And in the past few weeks, all of the permits have been transferred to Xcel Energy. So Xcel Energy is not only one of the largest utilities, gas, electric companies, utilities in the country, we also are we're buying these wind facilities and solar facilities because we believe it's a better, more economical model for our customers, where we can deliver the electricity right to them. And the price of wind energy is the cheapest form of electricity as far as generation of electricity we can own or build. So, as I understand it, and I'm not the person that goes out and negotiates these kind of deals, anyone who's in the green here, any of these parcels, are receiving annual payments now for the fact that we have their land in an easement. Once the wind farm is operational at the end of next year, these folks, the turbine, those who have a turbine will receive a payment, but everybody in the green will receive a quarterly payment, because this wind farm is designed so that the total revenue that's generated gets split amongst all of the landowners, which is a different model, and sometimes people who are in this area sometimes complain because the ones with the turbines are getting the big chunk of money and everybody else is getting a smaller easement payment. This one's a different model. So where we stand today is soil borings, I think, are complete now. So there have been a few engineering trucks from the engineering company doing soil borings at the turbine sites. We are negotiating with Vestas for the wind turbines. There's 72 of them. We are also working on the bid for the contractor that will build the wind farm. I think there's 4 companies that we're talking to. So we hope to have both of those completed by May. Things are not going to, we have engineering companies right now that are designing the foundations and the access roads. So right now we are thinking, but who knows in this situation that we're in, we are hoping that around September or October, construction will kick off. And that would mean in the fall, best case scenario, we are building foundations for the wind turbines, and we are building access roads into the turbine sites. Once again, we'll see how everything pans out. We'll shut down for the winter, and we'll come back then in the spring of 2021 and complete foundations, do all the cabling, the wires that go underground that take all of the energy from each turbine site and bring it to a central point. Wind turbines would be delivered hopefully next June. We're working to try to get a laydown yard up in this area in a batch plant, somewhere in this area. That should be decided in the near future. So best case scenario right now is that construction starts this fall and it's completed and the whole wind farm is operational at the end of 2021. There will be a liaison, a public liaison. That's part of, we do that with our companies, whoever we hire to build the farms. But I was reading the Public Utilities Commission final order, and they actually require a public liaison that reports to them as well as local commissions and communities. So that person will probably not be out there until this fall when construction would start. We also will provide additional updates to landowners, something like, this direct mail piece that went out. We'll send another one this summer just to notify people, hey, traffic is going to increase, and, please be careful. I think that's it that I have. Any questions I can answer?
Mr. Madam Chair, so if you can explain the difference between the dark and the light green and the orange markings?
Yeah, once the lease is signed, or the lighter green, and the darker green lease is amended, I think that was just part of the transfer.
Okay, that's your, okay.
They told me that it doesn't, people get treated the same.
And then, so the parts that, just so people understand, so the parts of the wind farm that don't have the red dots, that's transmission lines, or what other structures?
So this is just all land where when Apex negotiated or tried to, put all this together, piece together this wind farm, they didn't know at the time where those turbines would end.
I see, okay.
So, but if someone wants to get out of this lease, they can. But if they stay in it, they're getting payments.
Yeah, got it, okay.
And what I'm told in the yellow, their cable can go across, could go underneath their property, but from where I see it, these few parcels, I don't think there would be any need to go under.
Right, okay.
On their property.
How far south does that go? I can't read. What's the town?
South Shore.
Down to the very south end. Okay.
South end.
Okay.
So that's, let me see, this is
Waverly?
It's the South Shore.
Robbins Township, yeah.
What town is that?
This is Rawville Township.
Yeah, so there's
South Shore is
so
up.
this is 162nd Street.
Yeah.
This was the first project that came through on the permit, and it was,
This is the town of Waverly right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
it's the one that's north and went more into Grant.
So the other Dakota Range 3 is being built right now.
And where is that at?
Dakota Range 3, if you look at this map, it would be northwest, up in here. And I believe Excel, we don't own that one, we have a PPA, meaning we're buying power from it.
Okay.
Mark, how do you say his last name? Starts with a W. He's the one who came in here and explained to us when it first was Mark Mausenberger or something like that. He was with Apex.
Okay.
You mentioned Northwest, is that up in Dade County then?
That is
Roberts?
Probably be Roberts.
Roberts.
Yeah.
So it is a different concept now that for the individuals who have signed leases but don't necessarily have a tower will still receive the same amount of dollars as the one who has a tower. They're going to split it up?
No.
Not necessarily.
If you have a tower you get an extra payment.
Okay.
You get a set amount. But if you have land and a tower, you get part of this revenue split. And it's based on how many acres you have.
The question, I don't know if you can address this or not, the life of the blades, the bases, the life of the tower, I've been told is about 20 years.
Well, it's a 30-year contract on this one.
Okay.
So the only thing I know about, I've never heard that as far as towers. The blades are always a question mark. You know, there's always been working to try to get the right type of material on blades.
When the blades are replaced, which can be 10 years,
Yeah,
20
sometimes,
years,
yeah,
15,
sometimes,
20, I don't know.
Yeah.
10 years is the minimum I heard, or found out so far. Are they going to be replaced with blades that are the same length?
I think I would imagine,
Or is it
if we
gonna be
tried
longer
to
ones
change
increasing the
that,
tower height?
yeah, if you tried to change that, you'd have to go back to the Public Utilities Commission. It's all in that agreement as far as
It would affect the setback.
Because that would affect everything. That would
Yeah,
affect
yeah.
everything, the setback, the
So
noise.
I know that we have at least 2 wind farms right now in Minnesota. One's at Lake Bend that we are removing. I think all of them have now been removed. The original turbines and new ones have been put in place because they were outdated. The new ones are just so much more efficient, generate more electricity. But we had to go back through the whole permitting process to get approval to do that.
What is the efficiency on these?
So, I don't know about the efficiency, the capacity on wind farms out here, this whole Buffalo Ridge, I've heard anywhere between 40 and 50% of the time they're generating electricity.
What size are these? How many megawatt?
These must be 3.5 megawatts. So these
Oh,
are
they're
some of the
big.
biggest.
They're bigger. They're
Some of the
bigger
biggest
than-
ones that I know of that we have, that Xcel Energy has.
I
Mostly
think that
it's
just
been-
went up, and I think they're 3.2.
Yeah, mostly they're 2 megawatts has been the kind of the average.
Yeah, if you-
But this only has 72 turbines and it's 300 megawatts. So these are, now we're going to that, so there are turbines I know in Europe that are 5 and 6 megawatts. So,
So as far as height-wise, these bases will be big, I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
400 feet?
I don't have I was looking for that as far as what the total height is. I don't believe they're any taller than the 2 megawatt ones, but I'll find that out.
It's more efficient.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they become
Yep.
more efficient all the
Yep.
time, yeah.
Some of it's the blades, some of it is just, they just keep, they keep getting better.
Amazed looking at the blade length on those, how big they really are. It's
Drive alongside of them once.
Yeah.
While going down the interstate.
Yeah. So we'll bring, as close as we can, we'll deliver everything by rail and then they'll be trucked in. And if ever, in a perfect world, these sites are set next June or July when the turbines and blades are delivered, the components, so that they can be brought right out to the site.
So the sites where they're going to be located on that map are set in stone then?
Yep.
The other question I had is, will the new blades going to be installed automatically down noise suppression? Or are we going to run into another problem like we had last year, PUC?
Well, when I was reading the order, the final order, I mean, there's strict guidelines, strict noise
There was
numbers.
before too.
Yeah, but
Well, that was an issue that they ran into with weather and
No.
issues.
There was a noise issue before.
So you're
That's why
saying
it had to
that,
go to the POC.
so you're saying that once the turbines were erected, the noise level was higher than it was?
Yes.
Charlie, that
What we were
was
told.
attachments that they were supposed to attach to the blade that they didn't
I
get
realize
installed,
that. I
right?
realize that, Troy, but what I'm saying is initially, the noise level that the blades initially was skewed.
Okay.
Well, I know I looked at the order and there's an actual number attached, 44, 45 decibels, and if it's beyond that, they have to correct it.
And my final question is, if they're decommissioned and not replaced, what happens to the base?
Well, part of the contract that, or part of the whole order is that Xcel Energy, and now is the owner, has to remove the base and a portion of the foundation. I don't know how deep.
That's all spelled out in the permitting process.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, I just want to understand.
I'm not sure how far down we have to remove on the foundation, but
There's a lot of steel and a lot of concrete in there.
I think there's 40 concrete trucks worth of
One or two semi-loads of rebar per
into each base.
Yeah, I mean, it's big.
Yep.
100% of this power will go east, or go south to Brookings, right? That's where it's gonna go.
Yeah, it'll go on that transmission line.
Yeah.
That I told you about, and basically, it could go, all these, the transmission grid in the Midwest is all interconnected.
Yeah.
So it could end up, Chicago, or,
Oh, eventually, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know.
But initially, it will all go south.
Yep, and you get on here, and, it flows, it probably will flow east.
East, yeah.
But, depending on, what's available on any given day, some of it ends up maybe in Sioux Falls, and some of it.
Now, one guy that Xcel really needs to get to know well is standing up right behind you. He's our highway superintendent. And, of course, road permits, those are really important to us. That's the grief that we get.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the traffic, the road permits and so on, and there's your key guy right there to work with, so.
And I believe Robert, or someone has been talking with you, or, okay. I haven't seen a soul. All right, well, I was told that they had been talking to the county road folks, so I'll make sure.
It's coming.
And your last correspondence been with the Apex people, or?
The last time I talked to somebody from Apex was when we signed the Haul Road agreement, and they left, and I haven't seen a soul since.
Okay. So I'm going to give you this because Robert Sandlin is the project manager. His phone number, everything's on here, but if you give me information, I can have him contact you. Okay.
Another entity would be our sheriff's department, when there's going to start being work done, they definitely will need to know as well.
Yes. So we will, like I said, if things work out and we can start in the fall, we'll make sure we get a notification out at least a month before, if not earlier.
All right, sounds
Sure.
good.
Earlier we talked to you.
Basically, this is a mining site to send the power to other places.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, South Dakota doesn't have a huge load, meaning demand, but as much as,
But the wind blows a lot.
stay here. It's like a cash crop. I mean, it's something else that farmers or landowners they're benefiting from, certainly, but I mean, the state and local governments, I think there's 35 million in local tax revenue that over the 30 years and about 33 million in payments to landowners.
It also helps us locally with our electricity, because if we're able to supply some of those bigger cities, then there's not as much market, that becomes more competitive, so it keeps it more manageable for us as well, so or affordable.
The part that I really appreciate with this plan is the non-participating landowners will get a piece of the action. And this is a new concept that I think should have been brought in a long time ago, because basically those are the people that we end up having issues with as a county, is non-participating landowners, only because their neighbors have them and they don't get anything from them. They have to look at them and listen to them or whatever. So we appreciate that very much.
Well, they all sign the lease, but until they really study it to know where those towers need to go, it's hard to know whose,
Yeah.
land that it's
But
going
this
to be
is the
placed
first one
on.
where I've come across this, and I hear the same things, I have over the years, and same thing on power line projects. So,
What did you say the economic impact is on Cottington County?
it's about, I saw that the local revenue payments between, I think, the county, who gets it, the county, the state, and townships? School districts. Maybe school districts.
Yep.
I think it was 36 million.
That's that's the whole project, though.
Yeah, that's for 30 years.
And that's going between Grant and Cottington.
36 million would be divided over 30 years.
Yep, and 35 million is the landowner.
And 35 million,
Is the landowner payments.
and that's over 30 years.
Yep.
But just keep in mind that some of that's Grant County.
Correct.
Yeah, we're only going to have 72
Of
towers.
that 36 million, how much would the school districts get?
We're only having 18.
I don't know what the breakdown is.
Cottington County.
We have
The majority of it, the school districts in South Dakota would probably get at least 60%, if not more.
Yeah, they
There
do.
is some confusion of how many years, so how many years would that be for the life of the project then?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I would imagine so, that all the payments are.
Well, I've heard 10 years, I've heard 15 years.
Some of these projects are 20 years, some are 25, this one's 30.
Just for clarification, how many towers will actually be in Cottington County?
I believe there was,
You said,
I think it was 19.
Okay.
said 20 towers in Cottington County and 72
I counted
altogether.
18 when I just
You
counted
said
it.
18.
That's what I
Okay.
counted just.
70, it was 72 total then, okay.
Yeah, most of them are, in this case, most
In
of them are
Grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 18 in Cottington County, you said 20 a little while ago.
I said about 20. I was-
Okay.
Yeah.
We counted,
I just
we said.
I
glanced
just
at
counted them from sitting here, so.
Yeah, better eyesight than I do.
Their proposed
That's my late
towers to go down here eventually.
I suppose they could talk to the landowners at some point on this other land that's available to the west and to the south.
If they'd want to expand it
Yeah.
in the future.
Right.
So the county basically gets just, it's kind of like property tax, but it's a nameplate tax, and it's divvied up between counties and townships, just like property tax is, basically.
It's figured in
So,
state, I think we get about 23% back.
I know when I originally came out here back 8 years ago on that power line project, the township people were really angry because they were not getting payments. And, there was nothing we could do. But I think at some point, the state legislature passed a bill.
Yeah, we have to pay our townships.
Yeah.
We got to do that.
Well, and then, initially, we get the permitting, in which we've seen over the course of last year, those permit amounts through the planning and zoning, that's quite a boost in revenue. It's a one-time thing, obviously, but yes.
Yeah. So there's about 200 construction workers that will be on this project.
Yeah.
And there'll be about 10 full-time positions once it's completed.
That stay in the community.
Yeah.
Where will their main office be when and it's all said and done?
I think it's going to be, yeah, they were telling me that the batch plant, laydown yard was going to be up here. I'm thinking that that's where they would also have their O&M facility.
They might do it in Millbank.
I can, when Robert talks to you, I'll make sure.
Any other questions?
What was your name again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Tim Carlsgaard, C-A-R.
Do you have any cards you could leave with me?
I don't, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do in the car. It's C-A-R-L-S-G-A-A-R-D.
Now, you have an office in town here, right across the street from Hy-Vee, don't you, to the east? There's an office there that has XL Energy on it. Is that you?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
They haven't let you know about it yet, huh?
Because we don't have service out here. We haven't.
So that was next there? Oh, that was next there, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting a bunch of them here now, so.
Yeah,
They're all coming in here.
Yeah, yeah. I just saw that the other day.
We have another one, dual wind, I think it's
Yeah.
called. I don't know if we're gonna own that one or if we're just buying the power off of that one. But everybody's scrambling to come out here, so.
That's very informative, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming out ahead of time and getting us educated. All right.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What's that? Well, I believe we have covered everything in our meeting. We are now up to go into executive session. So I would entertain a motion under personnel reasons to go into.
So moved.
Motion by Gable, second by,
To go into, so I make a motion to go into executive session. I will.
You can keep that.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, you can second.
I'm going to
a second.
second that,
We need a
I'm going to
second.
second that motion that we go into executive session under number 1, personnel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We got a little distracted.
I need a gavel.
Yeah.
There should be one at that desk. Where is it?
I never had one.
It might be.
Maybe it's in Troy's, hidden in Troy's drawer.
No, I've never, I never did have one, I never did find one.
Somewhere. Elmer's used it before.
No, Elmer used his own one, I think.
No. No.
Oh, is that right?
There's a gavel here somewhere.
No, I've never seen that, I've never had it, so.
Leave that article talks about how you sell
Yeah, that's it.
There's three issued applications.
I'm kind of, so.
It's good you had it,
Well, we I'll tell you, the current work is better than.
Yep. Supposed to be, as soon as the gallery clears.
Yeah, I know you said something. Just take a look.
Yeah, well, thank you. Because that's good. I get the paper, but I don't have it. I probably, So, thanks.